In this video, we're looking at problem 716, where you're using the same financial data as you used in problem 715, except we're adding a fixed cost of $400,000, and I want to remind you that this needs to be put in your table as 400 because all these dollar amounts are in thousands. So I've actually, in this top table where I can put, or you can put whatever you want, I've actually made sure that 715 figures, the ones that I put in here are the same as the ones that I put in for 716, so we can compare what happens when we add this fixed cost. And we're looking again at our business risk, or the coefficient of a variation of the operating income, which we're computing right down here. So really quickly, we can see if we jump back over to our 715 figure right here, we can see that with a fixed cost of 0, no fixed cost at all, and only a variable cost that is based on a percentage, which is 60% right here of the sales, then we have a coefficient of a variation of 36.2 on the operating income estimates. When we add in the fixed cost, you can see that we have a substantially higher coefficient of variation. It goes up to 48.3%, and that is because with this added fixed cost, your operating income estimates become relatively more volatile than your sales. And if you think about that mathematically, if you're just changing by a percentage, so these variable expenses are all based on the sales, they're all 60% of whatever the sales are. So that's not going to change your percentage changes. So your percentage changes here going from 1,000 to 2 to 3 to 4 are the same as the percentage changes here, going from 4 to 8 to 12, 16 to 1,000. So that's not going to change the volatility of your operating income. Or you can think about it, and you can think about it like this. You can say, well, it's not going to change the percentage differences between the low and the high. So, because if you just look at it, 1,000 is 7 times higher than 1,000, and 28,000 is, or 2,800 is 7 times higher than 400. So the relative differences have not changed at all. However, when we put in a fixed cost, we can see that the percentage changes are very different here. And we can do that really simply if we just look at the two of them. If we compare going from 3,000 to 4,000 and look at the percentage change here, and compare that with going from 800 to 1,200 and look at the percentage change there. So let's do that really quickly. And what we'll do is we'll take the difference, which is 1,000, and divide by where we started, which is 3,000, and that's going to give us a percentage change of 33%, going from 3 to 4,000. Now, if we come over and go from 800 to 1,200, that's going to be the change, which is 400 divided by where we started, which is 800. And that's going to, 400 divided by 800. And that's going to give us a percentage change of much higher, 50%. So you can see that the changes here, the percentage changes here are greater, which makes with this fixed expense factored in, our operating income estimates are more volatile than our sales were. So that's going to give us a higher business risk, or a higher coefficient of variation. So I want to remind you that I would like you guys to put in the data from the problem in the second table down here. Find your answer here and compare that with what you got in your bottom table in problem 715 right here. And then you just simply need to answer the question in this text box right here, this blue. This is a text box you can actually type in there, and you can answer the question that they're asking you, which is once you recalculate the business risk or the coefficient of variation of the operating income, how does this figure compare with the business risk calculated with the variable cost only? And then you can also, I would kind of like you to go ahead and explain why that is in your own words right down here. And then once again, you have all the formulas that we're using here. If you want to look at those, and you can see the formulas that I put in. If you click on these colored shaded cells, for example, if you click right here, you can see the formulas that I put in to calculate your answers. Okay.